What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Investing Bros. It is Thursday, and we have got a great show lined up. We have some big news coming out yesterday, right before 2 p.m. Let's go ahead and share my screen. Cathie Wood's ARK Invest files for the first spot Ether ETF. This is big news. Of course, last week we had that really big win from Grayscale. I guess that maybe was 2 weeks ago. We had a huge win from Grayscale, kind of winning the precedence that the SEC denying all the Bitcoin spot ETFs was a little bit egregious. Now we're sitting here saying it's not just the Bitcoin ETFs that are coming, but Cathie Wood's is starting the trend. Ether ETFs coming your way very soon. This could be huge for Ethereum, for the entire crypto space, especially when it comes to institutional adoption. And we had a phenomenal X Spaces last night where we discussed the potential ETH killers. And there was a lot of interesting conversation. But in light of this news, it is one more thing that's kind of armoring Ethereum in that number 2 spot. Who knows? Maybe even Ethereum uses stories like this to catapult itself further into the conversation of could it surpass Bitcoin in that market cap at some point, either in this bull market or the next. This is a huge move for Ethereum. We're going to talk more about it later on in the show, so make sure you don't go anywhere. Smash that like button. Hit the subscribe if you are new here. We're so glad you guys chose Investing Bros this morning. I am joined by my amazing co-host, the Florida man, Mr. T-Shroom. T-Shroom, how you feeling this morning?
Terrible. I'm sick, and Beamer is trying to screw up my life. So my quote of the day is simple. It's from Michael Jordan. It's just stop it. Stop it, Beamer. I don't know if you guys saw, but this was the thumbnail. Beamer hacked into the Investing Bros YouTube and put in this thumbnail. And obviously it's true because he left this, Beamer made this thumbnail tag. So I've had it. I don't know where this goes from here, but I am better than I deserve other than that.
You're not having a great day if you're feuding with a dog, T-Shroom. That's not top-notch days, but we're getting close to the weekend, so we can regroup, move forward. Let us know in chat, did you guys like Beamer's thumbnail? I mean, it didn't seem like people were that disappointed with it, T-Shroom.
I can't believe you would even say that, Tim.
You might have lost your job to a dog on making thumbnails. Yeah, I don't think today you're doing better than you deserve. I think I'm T-Shroom. I think you deserve better than that, but you got to step up your game if you're going to keep this thumbnail job. Because Beamer, he's coming at it. He's coming at it hard. Guys, we got a great show lined up, a little bit different today. And listen, you guys are the best community in all of crypto YouTube. I love each and every single last one of you. But there's a conversation T-Shroom and I have been having for a little bit of time, and we knew that someday we were going to get to this point. But we have a big announcement for you guys. We are not going to be able to continue doing the reading of names in chat. Because even though you guys love it and we love getting to shout you guys out and saying your names, that's something that as we grow larger as a channel, we want to bring more people into the community. It becomes really hard. It becomes really hard to actually have the good flow of the show. We want people when they come in to feel like we're getting into the crypto stuff. They can learn, they can be part of this community. So we'll still be saying names. Like when we see amazing comments in chat and some great questions and great points based off the conversation, we are still heavily leaning on you guys to contribute. But this could be one of the biggest mistakes we ever made on a channel, T-Shroom.
Could be.
The reading of the names is no mas. No mas on the reading of the names. But guys, just like I've always said in the past, and I'll continue to say it, if I don't read your name, that does not mean I don't love you. It just means we got to get on with this fantastic show. We're already seeing the negative feedback here. Listen, it's gonna be a hard transition. Crypto Trades says, "Say my name, Tim." I'm so sorry. Elo Brown is booing us, T-Shroom. It's rough. But listen, we still want to say your name. So say interesting things in chat. Engage with us all the way through, and your name will still be read. But let's go ahead and jump on here, guys. It's time to open up with our market open, look at some important things happening here, looking at trading economics. There are a couple of speeches being made today by Fed chairman. We have Fed Harker's going to be speaking at 10 a.m., Fed Williams is speaking at 3:30, Fed Bostic at 3:45, and Bowman will be speaking at 4:55. We've had a lot of positive news in that direction. Yes, I'm so sorry, Joe Nickel. You hate it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I really am sorry. I know you guys love it, but it's time to mature. And as we mature, the show must mature with us. And I chose that pronunciation on purpose. Moving on to tomorrow, we do have core. No, sorry, this isn't tomorrow. What the heck? There's like nothing that happens. Barr speaks tomorrow, and then we don't really have anything important until Wednesday when we do get core inflation rate. And yeah, that's gonna be the same. No, it's gonna be a 1 week before we get the actual decision for the rate hike or the pause, whatever ends up happening. Let's keep moving on, though. What else is happening here? Let's go to liquidations. Let's update this screen and zoom in just a little bit. That is the hourly chart, so pay no attention to just the hourly. It's the 24-hour we like to take a look at. Bitcoin green this morning, and we did get a super chat. Jamie Gonzalez says, say my name. That's one way to get that happen, but, shout out. Thank you so much, Jamie Gonzalez. CryptoSec guy saying I've disliked this stream. Man, this is rough. This is a rough start. We'll get through this, guys. We love you. We love you. I'm so sorry about it. All right, Bitcoin long liquidations up at 11.3 million, but the short liquidations are at 9. So even though this is green, which is technically a little bit bearish, a lot of this price action and liquidations probably had to do with that spot ETF news. In fact, when you go and look at the charts, you're going to see the timeline of when the news broke and a spike and a fall in Bitcoin and Ethereum. They kind of correspond. So initial spike, traders took advantage of it, and then it liquidated it. So nothing significant in terms of overall price action, but there were a lot of people who lost some good money. Ethereum coming in second place. Again, kind of split even here. 7.5 million long dollars were liquidated, and then 6.4 million short dollars were liquidated. WLD, though, in the green, even though the box is red, but it's not really that significant. We're going to go ahead and move on here. Let's take a look at Trueflation, update the chart this morning. We did slightly tick to the upside, 2.66% now, up 0.02%. So moving in the wrong direction there this morning, but it's not necessarily anything significant here. Let's see. GS says maybe you can pick 10 names a day. Here's the thing. We're going to read more than 10 names a day because we're going to be reading chat with you guys all the time. Here's where, if you guys really love engaging with us and getting all that more time with conversing, that's one of the reasons why we have a whole membership. We have bro times every single Tuesday for our silver members. Our gold members get to be a part of that. And on Thursdays, they get to be a part of like that. That means this afternoon, another bro time over in Discord. If you guys want to spend a lot more time with us and talk more and get your questions asked and answered more consistently, that's one of the reasons why we have the membership option. Even the free Discord, go check out the Discord down below, guys. I don't relish it either. I know it's a shocking move, and I know not everyone's gonna love it, but I love you guys no matter what. Wow. We're gonna keep moving on here, though, and that's probably the last time I'm gonna have to address that, because the whole point is we're gonna move on and get into the show. So as new people come in, they are learning and they're loving it. We're taking a look right now at the Fed Watch tool. Just let me update. I know I did it once, but I wanted to make sure. 91% are still saying we're going to pause here in September. So it's going to be interesting this afternoon and tomorrow. We're going to get a couple of speeches from Fed chairman. Are they going to continue this sentiment that maybe potentially the rate hikes are over and we just need to stay at this level for a longer time? I do think yesterday we were saying June was the first month we were projecting a rate cut. Let's see what May is saying at the moment. May is staying consistent. 39% saying we're going to stay paused all the way through all the way through May, and then June will be that first rate cut. So does this change based off of some of these? Does this change based off some of these speeches that happened this afternoon and tomorrow? Make sure you're here tomorrow morning. We'll kind of take a look at that and see if there was any impact whatsoever. Let's take a look at Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. Refresh this. Scrolling up to the number. We tick slightly down to 41 today, so we're still in the fear. Not huge difference, though. Yesterday, we were at 42. So continuing, we're going to talk about this when we get to the chart section, continuing to kind of just sit in a little flat zone with not a lot of volatility happening, everybody. It's going to take something big, a big catalyst to break us out, and I do think that's coming. The only thing is I don't know exactly when. I just know I'm preparing for it, and at this point, I'm slightly preparing myself for a more bearish move but we'll talk more about that on the chart section. Let's take a look at our coin market cap open. Again, not a lot of big movers when we're looking at the top 10. Dogecoin down 1.3, Solana down almost 2%, which, by the way, we talked a little about Solana last night in the X Space as well. Let us know in chat, what do you guys think about Solana? I saw an article this morning, and I'm sure it was from a biased source of some kind, but it was saying that Solana is one of the, it's like, what did it say, T-shirt? It was like the happiest investors, or the Solana investors are like the happiest investors. It could be because it had some decent returns recently. It was a weird article. I'm not going to lie. It was strange, but, it was there. It was written for sure. Was it propaganda? I don't know. Tron is up 1.26% in the last 24 hours. Toncoin, the biggest mover I'm seeing here, up 3.35%. Anyone else move bigger than that? Shiba Inu down almost 2%. Bitcoin Cash almost down 1%. Right outside of the top 20, Stellar Lumen up 2.74%. Let's take a look at the biggest gainers and losers, including, I think this takes into account the top 100. I think at one point it was the top 200. Now I'm thinking it's top 100. Not really sure, but I never see a number higher than 99 really ever. Astar is up 5% today. That's your biggest mover of the day. Render up almost 4%. Toncoin, we mentioned that as well, up almost 3.5%. And Stellar Lumen. Let's take a look at the biggest losers. Synthetics. Now, Synthetics, you guys are seeing here in the 7-day moving, it's still up 14%. Well, that's because yesterday, Synthetics was the top mover, moving over 12% itself. So that happens a lot, guys. When you have a big green day, sometimes it's followed by a red day and vice versa. And in this case, that's exactly how it's playing out. It was the biggest winner yesterday. It is the biggest loser today. After that, not a lot of big losses. XDC still down 10% on the week, 2% in the last 24 hours. SUI, 8% on the week, almost 2% in the last 24 hours. Immutable is down 2% on the last day, almost, again, same thing as SUI, almost down 8% over the last 7 days. So there is our coin market cap open. Guys, it is time to do some charts. But before we go to the charts, I see 131 people in here. Thank you so much for being here. Go ahead and smash that like button or the dislike button if you guys are upset about the new flow of the show with no reading of names. While T-Shroom is bringing up our trivia question of the day, let me check in with chat. Elo Brown says, cold like Tim's heart. Oh, goodness gracious. Let's see. Elo Brown says, we haven't even officially started a stream in my books. It's going to be a hard transition. I don't understand. CryptoSec guy says, I don't understand why Tim is rambling on. Oh, goodness. I love you guys. I do love you guys. It was not an easy decision, but it was the right one. All right, T-Shirt, what's our trivia question of the day before we jump into these charts?
Now, guys, I have to warn you, the elves that are coming up with these, I think they took a little bit of liberty in something that they're interested in, a little bit more than crypto. So I'm going to have to talk with these elves. But it's a pretty good question of the day. It's kind of a are you smarter than a fifth grader type of question. So here it is. What are trees made of? Wood, carbon, hydrogen, or oxygen? This is a good question, and this question was actually asked to it was like a class of Harvard Law School students, and none of them got the answer right. It wasn't this exact configuration of questioning because this was made by elves, but I want to know what you guys think. Put it in the chat. Let me know. If you Google it, you find the answer. Whoa, what brilliant use of technology and shameful lack of integrity. So we'll see. Tim, off the rip, what's your thought before we get into the...
Well, I mean, I saw it and I was like, this is... Because obviously it's wood, but they're probably going to look for the scientific answer. Can you bring the options back up?
I can, Tim. I know that will help you decide.
Yeah.
What are trees made of? Wood, carbon, hydrogen, or oxygen?
So I know that plants, which would include trees, put off oxygen. I mean, that's part of how we as humans survive. So it's not oxygen, I'm going to imagine. I'm torn. I'm imagining that it's a trick question, that wood is the right answer, that it's got to be carbon or hydrogen. And I'm really struggling to remember my science book, but I want to say it's hydrogen.
All right, let's move on. To the charts we go.
We're going to do charts. Oh, goodness gracious. That's a good one. That was a good one though. Making you really think and remember those science classes. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, guys. We did here on the 4-hour chart. There's nothing happening in price action. Going to my screen here, T-Shroom. Nothing happening in price action. We actually, while we have this level all the way up here towards 27,000, kind of being a resistance level, and a support level down here towards 25.3. We've recently, since back at this big crash that we had it's not really a crash, this big dip that we had after we found out that the SEC could continue just to delay ETFs, spot ETFs, we've turned this mid-level of 26,000 into the strong resistance zone. Now, I told you guys, don't be surprised to see us kind of bounce back and forth between them. Sure enough, that is what is happening right now. Now, we did recently get a peak seeker back here. That's something I definitely want to keep my eyes on with some bullish divergence, but we're keeling over this morning, so that momentum is starting to get lost a little bit. You're going to notice the RSI on the 4-hour chart, not super low. There's no green flashes on the MVP oscillator. Let's go down all the way to the hourly chart. RSI is not super low while I'm waiting for the others to load here. Let's see if Chart Prime, they're not necessarily saying. I think there's a decent chance, guys, we're seeing a little bit more of a dip this morning. Now, this was a little bit of a low volume spring here, going even back out to the 4-hour chart. You guys know that's one of the things that I'm wanting to look for. What was the news here back? This yesterday? Okay, yeah, this is yesterday. All right, so this spike right here, this volatility, that's what we were talking about. Let's even go to the hour chart. This is the spike we were talking about yesterday around the time that we got the news, literally right before 2 p.m., the time we got the news about the Ethereum ETF. Yes, it spiked back up to 26,000, or actually it fell, down to 25.3, spiked up to 26,000, and then came back down to this middle zone. So even though there was some chaos that happened right there, the volatility, not that crazy whatsoever. So watch out for another dip coming in Bitcoin. And despite the fact that volume came in because of the news, I'm still not seeing the high volume spring coming out of it. So what I want to see, more than likely more on this 4-hour chart, I want to see a retest of this support zone, 25.3, 25.2, maybe even dip a little bit below it. I want to see a low volume spring. I want to see it bounce back up. And for me, now what I'm looking at is I want to see a high level of volume spike up as we're surpassing 26,000. To me, that would be confirmation of saying, all right, watch for a long to potentially come back up in this yellow zone. Maybe we make that 28.6 hit that we talked about before that we couldn't quite get to. I am a little more bearish though, guys. I think there's a decent chance that there's a lot of optimism right now, and I think even this Ethereum ETF news is optimistic. But I do know, guys, here as we're getting into September, I've told you September, October might not be the bullish months that a lot of people want them to be. I'm still watching for a potential breakdown. It's going to be interesting to watch what happens around 23,000 and about 22.3. Those are definitely levels of very important price action for Bitcoin. But you guys know, I think that we're going to possibly be hitting back down below 20,000, coming somewhere in the range of like 19.5, 19.7 area, back to the wicks we had in March. Let's take a look at Fibonacci here on Bitcoin's chart. I want to go back to kind of this level right here. Let's take a look at what we're looking at. We're hovering right at, and we're using that 0.382 as some pretty good resistance. Keep your eyes on some other levels here. 24,000 is 0.5. Golden pocket, remember I said 22.3? That is the golden pocket. And then the platinum pocket coming in here at 19.7. This is what we're looking at using our Fibonacci levels. Let's take that down. We haven't done a lot of Fibonacci or fixed range volume profile here recently, so let's do some of that. Let's take a look at where volume has been really important. Oh, would you look at that? So we talked about 23,000. Well, guess what? That is the point of control. We have a value area low at what price? Ooh, 19.7. Another thing kind of factoring there. Right now, we are hovering using this little pocket of valley right here at 25.2. I've told you guys before, the valleys are huge when it comes to the price of Bitcoin. And then we're kind of using this peak as resistance at 26,000. If we were to lose this, watch out to fall. There's another valley kind of stopping us somewhere around 24,000, but that's not necessarily that significant. That peak, that point of control at 23, then we have another good valley all the way down here at 21.4. Those are interesting price levels to keep your eyes on when we're looking at those levels. Let's even take a look at Chart Prime's indicators real quickly. Mainly, let's see. We did get a reversal back here just a little bit ago, but again, that could be one that ends up getting ignored. When it comes to support and resistance, again, multi-time frame support and resistance, a lot of support right here at 25. If we lose that, number 5 on the daily, 21.4, and then we have 19.7 coming in on both the 12-hour and daily chart down here. So a lot of confluence talking about these levels down here at 19.7. Watch out for if there is a spike like we talked about. So if we do get that low volume spring, I know we're looking through a lot of chaos here, but there is a very high order block up here towards that 27.8 up towards 28,000. Watch for a potential if the bulls come in and get some control here. We could see price spike up to those levels, but long term over the rest of September and October, definitely be watching out, keeping your dry powder ready. I do think you're going to get some sub $25,000 price, and then the question is, do we stop at 23 or 22,300, or do we make our move down below 20,000? Let me know in chat what you guys think. Elo Brown says, can turn the volume back down. I don't know if you're asking about my volume or if you're asking about the volume on the chart. But let's keep moving on here, guys. We're talking about Ethereum this morning. That was the big story. We'll cover that a little bit more here in the show. Let's take a look at what Ethereum is doing. A lot of similarities to Bitcoin, but there are some very minor details. I want to go all the way out to the daily chart. We don't do Ethereum TA that often really anymore, but it's going to look kind of similar to Bitcoin. You're going to see here, we really have not had any strong green flashes. Technically, there is like one green histogram in here that corresponds with this oversold level that popped up here on Ethereum, but it's not very strong. I do think even the daily chart is kind of insinuating for Ethereum we could continue to move to the downside. Let's go down to the 4-hour chart, take a look at that. We did get a green reversal right here, but you guys can see just like Bitcoin, price sitting super flat. And yes, that wick yesterday kind of broke that trend, but in reality, we're kind of sitting here in a little bit of a box on Ethereum between the levels of 1606 and about 1650, give or take. So again, similar to what I saw with Bitcoin, I bet you if we come down to this hourly chart and take a look what the oscillators are saying, they're moving to the downside, but they're not overextended just yet. They're not screaming buy. Do not be surprised to see Ethereum maybe retest these lower 1,600. If I said 16,000, I'm so sorry. Sometimes Bitcoin and Ethereum prices mess me up. $1,600 price for Ethereum could very much be in play. And then you're taking a look again at when we're looking at this more macro level of price action here for Ethereum. I think that there's a very good chance. Ethereum, maybe it doesn't fall I think a lot of altcoins will fall as much as Bitcoin, if not more, if we see a sub $25,000 level for Bitcoin. Let's take a look at some Fibonacci levels. Let's go all the way back here to November of 2022 up to its peak. You will see that right now this trading range, even that we had that spike in yesterday, is sitting squarely between the 0.5 on Fibonacci and the 0.382, with the wick we had here just a little bit ago coming all the way down into the golden pocket around 14.7. Now, I've said this before. I don't know if that will be the bottom. Keep your eyes on, just like Bitcoin, this chart right here, this candle right here at 1368, and maybe even a wick a little bit lower down here towards 1300, which would be the platinum pocket. Getting rid of our Fibonacci, let's take a look at our fixed range volume profile. Ever since that big dip we had back in November, we do have the value area low sitting right there at 1,400, a little higher than that platinum pocket, but sitting right there around that same bottom price action of March of 2023. Our point of control on Ethereum is higher than us. So if we do get any type of bullish momentum, keep your eyes on that level as well, up towards 1850. That also, if we did see that happen and pumped up there, while a lot of things follow Bitcoin, I really want to give everything its own fair shake with its TA. Just like Bitcoin, we had this rising level of support that this spike back here didn't really get back up even in the zone. On Bitcoin, we didn't quite touch it, but we've talked about that before, how this is really more of a zone of former support that could be turned into a zone of resistance. I don't really think that puts it anywhere in the same zone. Could we potentially see Ethereum make a move shortly or later on that turns this former rising support level into resistance? Keep your eye on that point of control. If a spike does happen, could be an interesting level to take some profits for Ethereum, because again, I do think we're still going to see some dips. Whether a rally comes in first or not, we are going to see some dips when it comes to the crypto markets. Let's see, what time do we have? 9:24. Let me take a look at one more. Last night, we had an amazing conversation about a potential for an Ethereum killer, and it was very popularly believed. The popular choice would be, if Ethereum goes down, it probably won't be this bull market. It will probably be the one following this one, but it more than likely will be Cardano. Let's take a look at Cardano's TA real quick. Let's pull up our charts. We got a bullish divergence and a peak seeker. You can see really holding strong. After wicking down to 21 cents here back in June, we're really holding this 25-cent level for Cardano very, very well. Getting that peak seeker coming in with the bullish divergence is comforting, but we're not seeing the MVP oscillator say anything just yet on the daily chart. We're not necessarily seeing the RSI say anything either. Let's take a look at what the 4-hour chart is saying, and give me some information over the next 24 to 72 hours at the greatest here. Not seeing bullish flashes necessarily, guys. We're actually seeing everything kind of drop, similar to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let's see what the hourly chart is saying. You might start to see some buying pressure coming on the hourly chart. Yes, we have a green flash from the MVP. We do have the orange box flashing on the oversold chart prime oscillator with the RSI below 30. So I think maybe a retesting down here, maybe where this wick got to 25.2 as this continues, this orange box continues to grow. We get more green histograms. Could be an interesting short-term trade opportunity for Cardano. But when you move back out here, let's look at Fibonacci levels here. And because Cardano just set its low for the bear market back here in June, not over a year ago, let's go to that bear market bottom in June. Let's go to this most recent peak we had here just a couple of weeks ago back in July. You can see that support level. We are riding right on that platinum pocket. That could be some strong support. But again, I've said it before and I'll continue to say it. Cardano can do its own things from time to time. But if we get a big crash in the Bitcoin market that's going to affect everything, I'm still holding some dry powder right now, guys. I have a buy-in order at 18.5 cents for Cardano. Could be very, very interesting. But again, that doesn't change the fact that we'll more than likely have a massive, massive bull market. It just means if you can take advantage of those price actions, your return will be even greater. Guys, that is the technical analysis we have today. We're going to jump in here. We're going to get our answer to our trivia question. We're going to engage with chat. I know that it is not the funnest. Hard decisions are made and people get upset, but we love you guys and we're gonna make it work.
As we're on the way out, though, you guys have Tim has referred to Chart Prime a couple times here, and I must say, 45% discount on your first month or quarter. It is literally the best discount that exists. Go check out that link down in our description, and if you're new, don't feel obligated to do that, but just go check it out. It supports the channel, and if you've been watching for a while, and you're liking what you're seeing with Chart Prime, now might be the time to invest in your trading future.
I mean, we're kind of closing out, but just look at some of the cool features. This is one I don't use as much, but you guys who watch the channel for a long time, you guys know Army Piper loves this. What is this one called? I always forget the name of this one. This one, I keep it on a different thing. It's the predictive ranges. Piper is lethal with the predictive ranges. I myself love setting up over here. I love getting my order blocks and the multi-time frame support and resistance. You can just go into the settings and change what you want to use. I like local mode, gives me a cleaner levels to go. But I love doing. I keep it on chart because whether I want to play on the 4-hour chart or hourly chart, but I really love when it's on the 4-hour chart, the 12-hour chart, and the daily chart. It gives you these pockets of strong support and resistance that have been amazing, combined with you're looking at these order blocks, and then you're looking at these phenomenal indicators. This is a cheat sheet for trading, guys. When you know fundamental TA and then you get to add the chart prime oscillators and indicators to it, I would say, T-Shroom, my percentage of successful trades probably jumped by an additional 10%. Like I would say I was probably hovering somewhere around 70% just using fundamental TA. I think I am over 80%. I need to go back and maybe look at that, but I'm over 80% now on my successful trade opportunities because of Chart Prime.
Well, you're not anywhere near close to 80% success rate on the trivia question, so let's see if we can't bump that up a little bit. Tim, what is your final answer for the trivia of the day?
Yeah, again, carbon is tempting. Am I overthinking it? Am I overthinking it? Because, it's either A or C. It's A or C, but I'm going to go C because I think it's a trick question.
You're going with hydrogen. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. See if I can get you up here. There we go. The answer is B, carbon. A living tree is made up of approximately, it gets deeper here. It gets controversial. A living tree is made up of approximately 15 to 18% carbon, 9 to 10% hydrogen, and 65 to 75% oxygen by mass.
So this is just a dumb question because if the answer was going to be one of them, shouldn't it be D because it has the highest percentage?
But the thing is that is oxygen really part of the tree?
It says
it's a gas.
oxygen by mass. I mean,
let us know what you think in the chat. Is oxygen part of the tree? If so, then B is not the right answer. It's carbon. But this is
the people who said all of the above are the real winners here. That was the right answer. Yeah.
Yes, this may not have been the most fair trivia question that the elves have come up with, but it is still pretty interesting. And the correct answer is carbon. Scientifically, trees are made mostly of carbon.
So you're saying like the oxygen being within the gaps doesn't count, even though the elves said that was the highest percentage of the tree.
Sounds like you're tracking, Tim.
All right. Well, interesting question. Not my favorite trivia question today, but I love you all the more, T-Shroom. By the way, 160 people in chat. Listen, here's the thing. What we'll do, because I'm seeing a lot, T-Shroom, a lot of people up in arms over these names, not being read.
So am I.
Here, maybe we can do a thing where from time to time, if we hit a certain like goal or if we get to a certain level of subscribers, we can bring it back. But I mean, on a more serious note, again, this is family. You guys are part of this channel. We do value your guys' opinions. I hope you guys understand, though, that is part of as we're growing. There's a certain point where if we start reading names, we cannot get anywhere close. Like that's happened recently. Like I used to like be able to read names and get down to like where I probably only missed like 4 or 5. More recently, I'm missing probably like 30 names, 40 names. And as we continue to grow, because you guys are such a fantastic community, that's just going to get bigger and bigger. And then new people are going to come in and they're going to hear us just reading names and be like, what the heck is going on here? I thought we were talking crypto. So it's a hard decision. And I know you guys are frustrated, but I hope you guys are with us in the understanding side of it. Not CryptoSec Guy. I don't expect CryptoSec Guy to understand. The man's got a very thick skull.
He does.
And we love him for it, because we love everybody here.
All that IT knowledge has bubbled up into the membrane of his skull and has created a hard, chiseled callus to his cranial cavity.
Yeah. Well, and maybe we'll do this. Maybe we'll even read some names in the mid-roll like now. So I'll read some names here just to pacify some people here because I love you guys. Eric Wallen, Arsan246, DC and Prey, Mike Hunt, Azaichi, and French Toaster. There's some names. I read some names.
There you go.
And if I didn't read your name, it doesn't mean I don't love you. It just means it's time to go ahead and move on with the show. Anyway, guys, it is Thursday, which means all of our gold members, we have a bro time this afternoon. Make sure you are there. It's going to be awesome. They keep getting better and better every single time we do them. For those who don't know what we're talking about, bro times is where we can just chill with you guys. We do it every Tuesday, every Thursday. We can talk about crypto. We can talk about sports. We can talk about what's happening with your dog. We can talk about space and science and how we're going to fix all the world's problems. It really is a time to kick back and answer any questions and talk about anything you guys want to talk about. So you know what? We'll definitely read names in all of our bro times.
I was going to say, in today's bro time, we should just read names.
Just nothing but read names. In fact, we're going to come with a baby book of nothing but the best names, and we're just going to spend the entire time just reading that book. And it'll probably catch the majority of people. But
all right. So for those of you hopefully looking for some crypto alpha today, let's go ahead and get into a little bit of a market open. We're going to do this quickly, and then we'll get into some stories here, guys. So this is important because $87 is now the price for the barrel of gas. This is ticking higher, guys, and it's not showing a ton of signs of stopping, which is a problem. So we're watching this closely, monitoring the situation. As you can see here, well, Tim is blocking it now. Tim, you gotta go.
Well, I have. That was you. You just got rid of yourself.
I deleted myself. Okay, there we go. So you can see here that the Dow Jones is the only green name here. Nasdaq selling off somewhat sharply here, down 1.3% here in the first 4.5 minutes of the New York session, and that's pretty much all we'll do, other than the fact that Ethereum or Bitcoin, neither of them are green. Ethereum, pretty much a surprise that it's not green today based on what the news is going to be. Guys, I'm going to be going slow through this because I do have a pounding headache from the cold that I have, but we're going to make it through. We're going to have some fun. Van Eyck and ARK filings officially start clock for spot Ethereum ETF. So take a look at this. Yesterday was September 6th, and that is when the CBOE filed two 19B4 applications to the United States Securities and Exchange Regulator, the SEC, requesting for the ARK 21 shares Ethereum ETF and Van Eyck Ethereum ETF investment products to be listed on the CBOE's BZX exchange. The spot Ethereum ETF race is officially on. Safeart declared, estimating a final deadline around May 23rd, 2024. So that'll be the date to watch, according to Safeart. But we will obviously have to see. There he is, James. So it's a pretty big story. Tim, I will throw it to you. You know, how disappointing is it that you're not seeing Ethereum move on this news?
It's not surprising necessarily because there's, again, I think the market I think a lot of people have bought a lot of prices they want to buy, or they're waiting for lower options to buy. So most of the big price movements happening right now have way more to do with manipulative moves by whales and institutions that are trying to heavily get involved. So even what I saw yesterday, that very, very small volatility, that shakeout, to me is kind of proof that they're not getting people to move that significantly right now. So they're going to have to come with a bigger force. More than likely, they're going to have to come up with, they're probably on the phone with Gary Gensler right now about, hey, what can we do to really scare the markets? Or maybe Gary Gensler's time is done. Now they're going to go up to the big man, go to Jerome Powell and say, hey, despite the fact that all the numbers are coming out clean, why don't you just throw us a curveball and raise us another 25 basis points or something, or at least flirt with the concept of raising basis points again, and let's crash these markets. I don't know what the news is going to be, guys, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. You can't always predict exactly what will be said or when it will be said, but you're looking at the charts and you understand the mentality that these types of places, these types of institutions have. We're talking about BlackRock. Guys, we talked about this yesterday. BlackRock right now is not only taking advantage of a bear market in Bitcoin, they are taking advantage of the dismantling of the country of Ukraine. They're swooping in and they are buying up land and property in bulk because then they can control it. They're trying to do the same thing in Bitcoin, and they understand they have time. That's another thing that I really want to urge every single one of you guys when you're investing to continue to develop patience in markets. A lot of people want to invest right now and have 10x returns by the end of the week, and that's not how it works. These ridiculously wealthy whales and institutions understand the patience takes time, sometimes years. And they understand, well, we can also play with the mind, this short-term satisfaction of all these retail investors. We can manipulate them around all over the place and steal their stocks, steal their cryptos, steal their properties from them because we're willing to be in the red for a year or two, because we know in the long term we'll make profits. Guys, you got to learn how to think the exact same way. Don't get fooled. Understand how the whales think. And one of my favorite analogies I've ever used is you can complain about the whales, or you can attach yourself like a sucker fish to those whales. You might not be as wealthy as them, but you guys know it. If you've been to an aquarium or if you've seen any video about whales, there's always these fish swimming right underneath or attached to whales, and they go wherever those whales go. They don't have to be as big. They don't have to be as fast. They're able to use the same power level, whatever you want to say, to those whales. You need to be the same way. You might only have $5. You might have $1,000. You might have $1 million. I don't know. You don't have as much as BlackRock. But if you learn how to think the way BlackRock thinks, if you learn how to think the way MicroStrategy thinks, if you learn how to think the way these whales think, you can make your little bit of money into a lot of money. Good. That was fast pull up there, T-Stream. I like it. Yeah, be one of those guys.
Sucker fish.
Sucker fish.
All right, let's keep moving and let's keep grooving here, Tim. I like that take. We had some more bullish news coming in from MicroStrategy's. Basically, the Financial Accounting Standards Board has approved a new standard. And look at Michael is super happy about that. Look at him. That smile that wins dreams. I don't know where I was going with that one. Fair value accounting is coming to Bitcoin. This upgrade to FASB accounting rules eliminates a major impediment to corporate adoption of BTC as a treasury asset. We were talking about it in the Investing Bros Discord. A free link is in the description. Right now you can click and join that Discord. We were talking about this, speculating a little bit on how this could actually benefit corporations, and I think it's right here is pretty much the big takeaway is that now Bitcoin can be a treasury asset, right?
Yeah.
Which in the world of corporate accounting, which I am not going to pretend to claim like I know everything about it, that's a big deal. So that's good, and it's put a big smile on Michael Saylor's face there, who is, if you don't know, he's a leader over at MicroStrategies, and he's been a huge proponent for Bitcoin.
He stepped down as the CEO, but he's like the tech. He has a name. He has a different title now in the company.
Tim, I'm glad you brought that up because I was strategically trying to avoid that lack of knowledge that I have. I think he's the chairman of the board. I think that's possibly what
I'll look it up. It's Googleable.
Yes. Okay. Now we're getting into something that I'm gonna talk about a little bit. And I'm gonna get Tim's take on it as well. And I want to know in the chat what you guys think, so let me know. EU's crackdown on Apple, Meta, and others is to avoid forced breakups, top official says. So doesn't have a ton to do with crypto. I'm going to loop it back into crypto. So bear with me. Amazon, Alphabet, Apple, Microsoft, Meta, and ByteDance, who now have 6 months to comply with stricter market rules, such as not being able to prevent users from uninstalling any pre-installed software or apps, or treating their own services more favorably, bloatware, and preferred rankings. If these companies do not comply, and I hope that they will, this is the commissioner of the EU, Thierry Breton, then we will have the ability to fine up to 10% of the global revenue of these companies, Microsoft, Apple, Alphabet, you get it, Amazon. The fine could increase to 20% if the companies in question continue to not comply with the rules. So why is this important? Well, I think that this is extremely important, and what we're discussing here is the Digital Markets Act. This is what is made up of the Digital Markets Act, tighter restrictions on how digital gatekeepers can use people's data. Okay, Europe has been very big about that. And then messaging services and social media platforms teaming up and sharing users' data. This could mean, for example, Meta-owned WhatsApp users being able to send messages directly to a completely different messaging service, such as Telegram. That's pretty complicated and not really what I'm talking about here. Presenting users with the option to uninstall preloaded applications on devices, bloatware, gatekeepers are banned from ranking their own products or services higher than others in online searches. So generally here, when we zoom out, what you're seeing here is the potential for the EU to come down on the gatekeepers to the digital marketplace. And what is crypto? These are digital products, right? And so generally what you could expect is, even just from the fear of what the EU is claiming to do here, which is to fine 10% and even as much as 20% these giant multinational mega cap corporations. This could erode their influence and their hegemony in the digital landscape, right, in the digital market space, which is just going to be a boom for crypto, I would imagine. So this will be important to watch. It didn't look on its face as if it would have anything to do with crypto. It's just bearish for the U.S. equities market because these are U.S. companies for the most part, other than ByteDance. So you want ByteDance, not Binance. So something to track, and we will be tracking it, and we will be bringing it to you. Tim, what do you think about this? Yeah. Is this important, or am I getting it totally wrong?
No, I mean, I think it is important. I'm so sorry. The chat is you guys are awesome. You guys, I'm trying not to laugh. I really am trying not to laugh. I do think I have to read some of them though, T-Shroom. And if I'm going to listen, clearly a lot of people are upset about this new direction of the show, T-Shroom. So if I'm going to upset one, I have to upset them all, right? Trent Fowers says, thank God, no more reading names. Well, there you go, Trent. You just got your name read. So you can join the pack of unhappy people. Mike Hunt Izaichi says, I feel sorry for Brody. For those you don't know, Brody is my son. Probably happy as he can be. And Tim comes home and takes his toys away. Sorry, son, you don't get to be happy anymore. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Shout out to Mike Hunt. Yes. But anyway, back to your story, T-Shirt, because again, we're trying to cover this stuff. I think it is really important. I think it's something that will fly on the radar. You're probably not going to see a lot of other people talk about that. So I think that was really important and really good that you grabbed that. You saw that. Yeah, I don't think I can break it any down further. I think you did a good job of that, but good catch.
Absolutely. Google changes policy to allow NFT game ads with some limits, and this plays right into that narrative, right? Why does this why is Decrypt Gaming, news site running this? Because Google matters, right? Google is a gatekeeper to the NFT ad space, the NFT game ads. This isn't something I know a ton about, right? But if I'm a game developer and I have NFTs in my game, I haven't been able to run ads through the biggest ad service out there, Google AdSense. Right now I can because Google said so. Right. And so the EU is trying to say, hey, Google, you don't have, like, who put you in power?
Yeah.
And, so that's going to be big to watch, guys, for sure. All right, another cover story here. Texas paid Riot Platforms $31.7 million. That's a lot to slash Bitcoin mining in an August heat wave. The mining company reduced its energy demand by 95% during the August heat wave, receiving credits for the energy it would have consumed. Tim, where does this leave us? Is this getting into crazy world where Texas is bending over backwards to try to, preserve an energy grid that really just needs to be built back up from the ground up? Or is this actually showing some really cool agility that Bitcoin brings to the U.S. electricity grid?
Yeah, no, I think, obviously Texas has a very interesting power. What's the right word?
Energy grid.
Energy grid. Okay, well, they just do it themselves. Like rather than having this whole public thing that's like a federal issue, and they have all these government workers doing it, they just run on their own grid, which is part of the reason why here a couple years back they had that huge freeze that took the whole state out. Millions of people lost power. It was a whole thing. That was the downside of it. But when I looked at this story, T-Shirt, I was looking into this, got some other takes on it. And one of the most interesting takes I saw was about how Texas is a state very, very concerned with their population's freedom, but also very concerned with trying to keep taxes low and stay in profit and not be spending more money than they're making. And so when you're looking at this story, this is what the big takeaway from them paying $31 million to these miners to turn off for a month is that there is a balance to the grid, and they've done the math, and they know the net positivity of having the miners in Texas during certain months to balance that grid, and then other months paying them upwards of $31 million and saying, hey, you know what? Take the month off. We will pay you, but we want you to stay in Texas, so we don't want you to close up shop. They are not idiots. They're doing the math. They're doing something fiscally responsible, and they know the long-term profits and the benefits that their state will benefit from of having these miners will be offset. The benefits will be worth it, even if they have to take certain months to pay these miners to go ahead and stay. I think this is a beautiful thing. It's furthering, again, Texas not only going after and continuing to fight for its civilians' freedoms, but also being wise financially and saying we need Bitcoin long term, and we're willing to do anything it takes to keep them. And again, they're not idiots. They're not going to lose money on this. They're going to still be net profitable. I'm interested to see if maybe some other states start to follow suit and do a lot of other things like Texas. I don't like the Texas heat. I don't love heat, but there's a lot of details about Texas and how their government operates, their state government, that I really do love and would love to see other states kind of copy and repeat.
Yeah. I've got some friends who live in Texas, and they love everything about it, but the heat is just unbearable. And that's being said by someone who lives in Florida.
You're a Florida guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I love my panhandle, and it is, it's warm and humid here for sure. All right, let's keep going through here. Got a couple more stories. Here's another pretty big one. Blockchain AI set to transform financial markets, says Moody's. Moody's is a Wall Street ratings agency. It's actually some of the blame in the movie Wolf of Wall Street. Was it Wolf? No, Big Short. A lot of the blame, they kind of paint a portrait of a lot of the blame could be for the 2008 financial crisis could be laid at the feet of Moody's and S&P rating agencies, because they were the ones that were continuing to rate the subprime the subprime mortgage-backed securities as prime, and indeed they were not prime, and that was the lie, right, that led to the crisis, to the bubble that popped. Anyway, moving on. There's a little context of what Moody's is, and there's an analyst that's coming out and kind of shedding a little light. First of all, before we get to define some terms, distributed ledger technology is what a DLT is. Some of you are rolling your eyes because you already knew that, but others of you just leveled up your knowledge, and you're welcome. DLT could improve financial market efficiency, modernize the payment system, and foster financial inclusion. Vincent Gustroff, head of DeFi and digital asset analytics, said in a press statement shared with CoinDesk. The overall economic and financial effects of technology changes, including the policy and strategic changes they prompt, are likely to be positive. Digital or tokenized bonds, which are becoming popular in global markets, could lower transaction expenses and make capital markets more accessible by letting organizations bypass intermediaries like banks and by increasing liquidity on the secondary market, the report said. Now, Hong Kong's central bank arrived at a similar conclusion following a successful 100 mil tokenized bond issue from earlier this year. So where does this put us? Well, I think that Moody's coming out with a report that is very bullish on the intersection of AI and crypto is pretty bullish for crypto, right? Moody's is about as institutional, about as buttoned as you can get, right? These are very quantitative analytic folks. These are not people that are taking any risk, because the financial world relies on their expertise and their analytic skills to trade and to invest for their clients, right? And that's why it was such a big disaster in '08 when Moody's got it wrong, right? And there were other parties that also messed things up too. But the ratings agencies don't lie. They don't come out with news early. They're not trying to break news or perspectives, right? They're doing things at a pretty conservative level. So for Moody's to come out and say this, it's pretty good. For Moody's to even have a digital assessment, a head of DeFi and digital assets, is pretty interesting, pretty progressive, I'd say. So Tim, I want to throw it to you. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that Moody's is really... well, let me ask this. Is the audience here the retail market, or is the audience for this article the industrial kind of institutional financial markets here?
I mean, both, honestly, but I think it's dead on. I mean, AI is, while it's not technically cryptocurrency, there's so many veins in the same direction and ways they can work together, some positive and some negative. Let's not just gloss over this and be like, oh, AI is the most beautiful thing ever and it's going to be amazing. No, there's a lot of things that can happen with AI. In the same way, I'm not going to, as much as I love crypto, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like every single cryptocurrency, everything about blockchain technology is fantastic. No, there's a lot of ways that you can use cryptocurrency for evil things. But I love the potential of the good side of it. And so while I am a fan of certain levels of regulation, I think I'm in the same boat for AI. What we can do with AI in the future is going to be amazing. Now, there are some levels of it that are kind of scary. There are some levels of it that are very intimidating. But, one of the fears I've heard people kind of talk about with AI is, oh, no, they're going to come and they're going to steal all our jobs and yada, yada, yada. Guys, I hope people realize when AI becomes a big thing and it does start taking over jobs, it creates a place and a world where you're able to pursue things that you're more passionate about to make a living. Like, for example, the entertainment space. I was listening to I can't remember who was doing the interview, but there was an economist just kind of talking about this. And even you can see throughout history when there were massive innovations that replaced human labor, Well, actually, the entire economy went up and the people as a whole did better. And more people were able to move into more satisfying roles rather than just being like a bricklayer or being like a hole digger, because now there was technology that could do those jobs more efficiently. Well, that means more money coming into the business. That means that business can do more with the economy, that the economy starts spreading out. And guess what? Also, when you get more wealthy people, what is something wealthy people love? They love entertainment. What is something these younger generations want to do? Like the desire to do nothing but pure fun and entertainment, to be some sort of social media guru where you just go on these trips and you videotape them or you do these pranks. More people will be able to do things like that and make money because of AI taking away some more mundane jobs. Does that mean everyone will be that way? No, I think there will be people that suffer. There will be certain individuals that their jobs will be taken away, replaced with AI, and they won't know how to adapt. However, the majority of people, this is going to be a very beautiful thing for livelihoods. The question is going to be, though, and this is where I think crypto becomes very important, and this kind of ties in with some conversation we had last night. If all of crypto is centralized, now you're just talking about a massive power struggle. But if you have this mass adoption of AI, and then you see the decentralized projects like Bitcoin, like Cardano, and several others, if they start to take more momentum and people are loving them, AI making the world revolve and make things easier on all of us, combined with a decentralized form of currency, could actually be an amazing, amazing future for how civilization operates. There's a lot of ifs in there. There's a lot of buts. There's a lot of this could go wrong, this could go right. But the scenario and the recipe is there if we, as the retail investors, take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it sounds like you and Moody's have found something to agree on, and that's great. As we close out the show, we've got a birthday to celebrate, and that is the 2-year birthday of El Salvador adopting Bitcoin as legal tender. It's pretty great. What's that?
So I remember that. I remember that story. I mean, that was the headlines for like a month straight.
It was, and there's another headline that we weren't going to cover, but I figured, hey, since it's the birthday, El Salvador to introduce Bitcoin education in schools by 2024. Now, just imagine this, Tim. We're not going to get into the details of what the curriculum is, although I'm sure it'd be pretty cool. Look at the young students there in El Salvador learning. Does not make me want to go back to school at all. But just imagine this. You crack open your economics textbook in maybe 8th or 9th grade, right? And instead of seeing how the Federal Reserve System works and how the banking system works, there's none of that. When you learn about government, it's just there to operate the military and provide judicial decisions for private dispute settlement, right? That's all it does. No, that's a very utopic libertarian standpoint. But then when you get to the economics and you talk about monetary supply and demand, all it is just Bitcoin, and it's a lesson on how mining works and how everybody around the world, just like they have a garden, they have a little mining shed, right? And just imagine what that would be like if that's what the textbook said in 2050, right? And all the little children are learning about rock solid currency. Does that put a smile on your face, Tim? I know it puts a smile on mine.
Yeah, I mean, I that's ultimately what needs to happen. I love that the government is saying we're going to do this. One of the problems with the global financial crisis is that there is no proper financial education happening. That's one of the big things. I know Robert Kiyosaki is on kind of our poop list at the moment because of what he said to our dear friend Caleb Franzen. But we still have to respect Robert Kiyosaki's original why and what he did. That book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he really gets into the kind of details of they don't want you to know how to actually treat and use money because they want to keep you poor. We need proper education on finances. We need proper education on how money works. And I'm hoping I'm hoping this education is not just, hey, this is how you use Bitcoin, because, that's good. We need that too. But I'm hoping these classes include teaching the kids why it's so important. that we have something like Bitcoin, that we have something that is not a centralized fiat currency that can just be printed out of thin air whenever a government feels like it. It's important to teach young people the importance of value, the importance of currency, and how to create an environment and an economy that is flowing, that allows everyone to be successful and not only the elites.
Yeah. And it's tough, right? Because educators oftentimes look, we've had the luxury of being able to understand monetary policy kind of tangentially, right? As we kind of exercise our passions about crypto, we've had a lot of time to fully understand the nuances of monetary policy and how monetary systems work and what can go wrong and what can go right. But even for like a macroeconomics teacher, it may be difficult to really understand. And I'm talking about somebody who's taught it again and again and again. It may be actually pretty difficult to understand. Oh, what does it really mean that there was a rate hike? How does that affect liquidity markets? You know,
right.
Which does that mean I should buy bonds or sell bonds? You know, these things are not immediately obvious. And I think that a lot of that complexity actually becomes a lot simpler under crypto. So it's something I'm very excited about, and it's a world that I want to live in.
Well,
am I moving to El Salvador tomorrow, though? Probably not.
Probably not. Guys, that is all the time we have. It is 10 a.m. I almost said 10 p.m. Holy cow. Listen, guys, had a great show today. Had a lot of fun. Read more names than you thought we were going to read, actually, in reality. But I understand the concerns. I understand the passion. The reason this is coming out is because you guys are the best. You are the greatest. Check out our membership options. We will read names to your heart's delight in all of our bro times. With that,
trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. Teach Rooms News, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.